All right. So we'll get started. All right, so I want to welcome everyone to the first Malawi June 2017 conference call. My name is Najma Bawa, and I'm your country desk officer, and I'm also the country desk officer for Madagascar and Comoros. I want to welcome you all to this call. This is going to be an opportunity for you to basically just ask me some questions. I know a lot of you, we've been communicating via Facebook, and you've been wondering like who's behind that profile. So it'll be an opportunity for you to ask me questions about Malawi and my own service and serving as a volunteer, and I'll walk you through some tasks that I kind of want to make sure that you guys are working towards as you prepare for your departure in June. Um, so I'll start off. So, like I said, my name is Najma, but I served in Kenya from 2012 to 2014. I was a math science education volunteer. Real quick, can everyone put your phone, I'm sorry, the call on mute? That way we don't get background noise. Perfect. Um, So yeah, I was served in Kenya from 2012 to 2014. I was a math science education volunteer, and basically was placed in a all-girls school where taught biology and chemistry. And I overall had a really great experience in Kenya. It was difficult. I know some of you are going into the education sector, but in health and what is it, environment. Integrating the first couple of months was difficult, but you do go through pre-service training, which will definitely walk you through on cultural norms and give you some really good technical skills to prepare for the next 2 years of your service. And feel free to chat. Send them a question in the chat box if you have one as I'm talking, and I'll pause and respond to the question. Um, but yeah, so 2 years in Kenya, it was difficult. We learned Swahili. That was the language that we had during our pre-service training, and it was difficult a little bit. But going in, you definitely have the opportunity to like practice with your host family, who you will live with for the first 3 months once you get to the country. In Malawi, it is about the same setup. Uh, Jean, you're asking me how many of us are in the class? Okay. Yeah, I'll answer that question in just about a second. Yes, it is real time. So feel free to jump in and ask questions. That's totally fine. It's really this is a little bit informal. I know you all wanted to kind of engage with me and then also ask some burning questions that you may have. So feel free to just ask any question at any time. It is being recorded, so I will send this out to everyone else who's not able to join the call. But yeah, do you have any questions about my service? I just wanted to give you a really quick overview, and there's not much I want to kind of talk about that, but definitely want to get into your service and you're preparing you for your departure. Um, but I'll answer the first question. Jean asked how many of you are in the class. Right now, we have 98. But that number will perhaps trickle down to about 70 or so. We do realize life things come up in your life, and so some people do kind of they back out and withdraw from the whole application, and so we're expecting that about 70 of you will go to Malawi come June 2017. Um, Yes, Kevin, I was in the education sector. Actually was not teaching English. I was teaching biology and chemistry. And I really enjoyed it. I kind of worked about, I want to say give or take almost close to, I had a full-time schedule. So I would go to class like 7 o'clock in the morning, get to school, and then I would end most of my classes around maybe 4 o'clock. And then at my school, we did have after school programs, and so I started a couple clubs with with my students, and so that usually ended. I usually stayed at school till about give or take like 6 o'clock. Either I was participating in after school programs or um, a sport. So I was a volleyball coach as well. Anything? Yeah, so I will. Okay, so about I'll kind of give you a timeline up until for your 2 years, a really, really quick one. So basically in June, you will have 2 days staging in Philadelphia. And then after that, you all will travel to Malawi together, and then you will undergo pre-service training, which will be for 13 weeks, I believe. And then during that time, you will be actually living with host family, and that will be an opportunity for you to like really start working on engaging with the community, with the community, and also with the family, learning, practicing, and speaking the language. During that time, you will have language classes like up to like 4 hours per day, and so that will be a great opportunity while you're living with the host family to really kind of practice speaking Chichewa. And then there's other dialects that you will learn depending on where your site will be, but you will get that information once you get in country. And then, in addition to the language training that you'll receive, you'll also go through some technical training. So depending on your sector, you'll either, you'll either be paired obviously with the program manager for agriculture, for education, and for environment. And each of them have a different framework, a different schedule in terms of what you'll complete and do over the PST pre-service training. So after during that time, you're basically just gaining a lot of knowledge in terms of learning about Malawi culture, eating the food. You're going to be doing some chores around the house with the family. Really, it's just kind of really getting you engaged and preparing you to be on your own for the next 2 years after that. 2 years. So let me pause because I do want to answer some of the questions. Um, so Leslie, I'm sorry if I think Leslie, yeah. What type of things do you do to better integrate into your community? Language is key, I would have to say. And yeah, language is very key. The faster you pick up on that, I think the better it is for you in terms of being successful, like, in terms of successfully integrating into your community. But also just being flexible and just open-minded. Those are really some really key characteristics to have going in when you really want to integrate in your community. I found, just smiling, and even if I like was not like, maybe I was having an off day or so, but just smiling and just kind of observing what your host family is doing. And in most cases, maybe some of you might have like a younger sister or a younger brother as in your family, in your host family, and like really connecting with them might be a really great way to kind of like start slowly understanding the Malawi culture and kind of integrating into the community. So there'll be different ways in which you'll in different ways to integrate, but your the cultural coordinator at in Malawi will definitely give you some tools on how to do that. But I'll have to say language is like key in terms of really being able to integrate quickly. The second question, how early do you meet your host family when you enter the country? I want to say it's within the first week that you get in country. You'll go to your host family community, and then after that, you'll stay with them for the next 13 weeks. Will you be in one place for PST, and do you disperse after that? Yeah, so you all will be in one community, one village for your pre-service training, and then after that you all like during midway, I'm sorry, mid like say I think it's week 6 or 7, and you'll get more information about that as we get closer to your departure. During that time, you will get your site placement, and then after PST, that's when you'll go to your sites. Um, what is the most difficult part of being there? So I can't really speak to that, and you'll have more opportunity in terms of asking current volunteers like what it's like, working in Malawi, volunteering in Malawi. Um, they'll be the best people to talk about that, and we have those calls scheduled closer to when you're about to depart. So look out, come I want to say like somewhere in like May, if not earlier than that, we'll schedule calls with your country director, with your program managers, along with the current volunteers, and you'll be able to ask them exactly, questions like this, like what's the difficult part about being there. But I'll have to say from my like little visit that I had a couple months ago when I was in Malawi, is that the people are definitely are going through a really rough time in terms of drought, and they are Malawi is one of the poorest countries in the world, and so poverty is very evident when you get to the country. But I have to say they're the most warmest and kindest people that I've ever met, and it's definitely I've heard from other volunteers that have served there that the experience definitely changed their life, and they really enjoyed working with the people. And so every volunteer will present something that they saw as challenging to them, and all of your experiences are going to be totally different. But I will leave that question for them when you get the opportunity to kind of talk to them about what they found challenging throughout their service. Okay. Um, the next question, you were saying that you were a volleyball coach. These initiatives that we can take and create on your own, and these type of things already set in place. Okay, that's a good question, actually, Tori. So yes, you have a primary project, and we also do. Peace Corps likes to encourage secondary projects as well. And so, whether you're an education volunteer, an ag volunteer, environment volunteer, that's going to be your primary focus. And so during PST, they're going to give you the primary goals and objectives that they have within that project framework. And then there's opportunity to do secondary projects. So let's say, for instance, you go to your community and you see that malaria perhaps is a issue, that the community is not really kind of like engaging in preventative care. So then that's an opportunity for you to maybe do like a malaria workshop for the students that you may be teaching, or for the farmers that you may be working with. So there is room for you to be creative and to kind of assess the needs of your community, and then create a secondary project surrounding that. For me, I did after school programs where I had a biology club, but because I also had the passion of, I love playing volleyball, and my kids, fortunately, my school already had a volleyball net, and they had the ball, so I just was like, hey, I don't mind being your coach. And it was a really great way to also travel to my the neighboring villages, and kind of get to know other teachers in other districts. Um, Where are you staying? Oh, sorry. Emily, you're asking, where are you staying where are you staying with your host families? Do you mean in terms of like, you will be living with your host family, and each one of you, and it won't be, you'll individually, you won't be paired with another volunteer and living in like one family's house. Each of you will get a host family, that you will live with. Yeah. And then Kevin, you asked, is site placement heavily based on PST? Uh, yes, I want to say. I like to tell invitees that PST is like a long interview. And so you are going to be going through. It's not where you're going to be completely, assessed every single day, but you do have to achieve a certain level of language. Oh, hello. Can you hear me now? Yes. Okay. Okay. Thanks, Heidi. I heard you say yes. So what was I saying? In regards to PST and your site placement. So like your PST is like a long interview. You are learning, you're going through technical training, you're going through your language, and then at the end you will go through a language test. And there's a certain level that you need to get, which is an intermediate novice, I believe, or intermediate mead that you need to achieve. You need to get in order to swear in as a volunteer. Now, granted, it's not like a hard cutoff where, if they see that you're working and maybe perhaps you're struggling, they may say, okay, well once you go to site, we can pair you with the language coordinator, and then they can work with you to build up your language. But I definitely want to stress that PST is a time that you have to really take it very seriously, and it not necessarily. Give me 1 second. What's going on here? Who is presenting? Give me 1 second. I think someone is. Okay. Um. So I was just saying about PST just being a really great opportunity for you to just really show the Malawi staff that you're dedicated and willing to and willing to do what it takes to be successful for the next 2 years. So I want to just really stress that you needed to, take the pre-service training, the 13 weeks, very seriously. And so I'll just leave it at that. Um, I think we have a couple more questions. Where did I leave off here? But and one more thing that I wanted to add about your site placement. So your program manager will look at your resume and your aspiration statement, and they'll look at that and use that as well for site placement. So if you have not uploaded your resume or your aspiration statement, please do so. If you need to update your resume, you can definitely just upload that to your application portal. Okay. So Tristan has a question about do we have to pay your own travel expenses to staging? No, you do not have to. We get closer to your departure, which will be about 30 days out from when you're supposed to arrive to Philly, we'll send you extra instructions on how to call Sato, who is our travel agent, and they will book your travel to Philly. So you do not have to pay for that. Um, and then what is something that lots of people bring that turns out to be a waste of space? Does Peace Corps have an official list of essential things to bring? Yes. So you will receive a packing list in the next month or two. And so that will be like a really guided list that you can like use to as you pack for Malawi. And I really want to kind of default and say that like I'll just speak on my own. Like I brought soap and I brought toilet paper and I brought like shampoo. A lot of those things I really did not need in Kenya. I was really amazed that I was able to get a lot of basically everything I needed in Kenya, up to like even clothes. And it was actually really fun to go clothes shopping in Kenya because they have a huge secondhand clothing market, where you can get like really designer things for like less than $1, which was really fun to go shopping. And the same situation in Malawi, they also have like a huge secondhand um, market that like if you don't need to pack for 2 years. Basically that's what I'm trying to say. You definitely want to pack for the first 3 months. Make sure you have some business casual clothes, some for PST, because you do want to look professional. Dress is really important to to Malawian culture because it's an expression of respect for the other person. I know we dress in America to kind of show our identity here, but in terms of dress in Malawi, you you definitely, for the ladies, want to wear, a skirt that's a little below your knees and arms to be covered. But obviously, if you're an ag volunteer and you're working in the fields, then the dress is a little more lax. But definitely for your PST, you do want to have some professional clothing. And But yeah, don't pack for the full 2 years because you'll be able to get a lot of things in Malawi. There's a shop a supermarket that I like to called ShopRite, and I went in there and I was just amazed as to how much stuff that they have, and then even American brands too. So don't think that you won't have access to like your candy bars because they did have that there actually. Um, what else? So, Nathan, that's a really good question. Will grant writing be covered in pre-service training? Um, that I don't know, and I would have to follow up. I remember during my PST in Kenya, we did have a session on how to write grants, because you do have access to certain grants like the PCPP, which is a Peace Corps Partnership Program, where you can apply for up to the $10,000 for any proposal that you may write. And there's some other grants that you have access to, and when you get in country, they'll definitely walk you through all of that. But I will follow up on that, and I'll make sure that I address it in the next conference call. But I would imagine that you do have a session on grant writing. Elizabeth. So, Elizabeth, you're asking, can money be allocated out of one's monthly stipend towards a private student loan? And two, can you request to get your own passport back from SATA Travel before training? Okay, I'll answer the second question. So, yes, you can, if you need your passport back before June, you can email the SATO email address, and which is Peace Corps, PC. Let me actually look over here. It is PC Documents, CW, SatoTravel.com, and yes, .com. And you can request for that's a cute cat. You can request for your passport, and they will mail it to you. For your first question, Tristan, not Tristan. Hold on one second. Lost my place here. Oh, yes. Elizabeth, you were asking, can money be allocated out of one's monthly stipend? Yes. So you can make payments once you swear in as a volunteer for whether it be your student loans, credit card payments, and things like that. And you can get that all set up once you get in country. Those payments will not start until you actually swear in as a volunteer. And so you have that ability to set that up once you get in country. Sable, you're asking about pre-departure information. You won't get that information until maybe almost a month before you're about to leave, and so that will be sometime in May. You'll actually get more information about pre-departure. In regards to staging, that's when you'll get actually more information. But all along this process, I'm going to be staying in communication with you. There are certain tasks that you all need to complete before June, and so like you got my first email where I said that I needed you all to start working on your medical, your legal, and your passport and visa applications. So I hope all of you by now have submitted all of those documents to the various departments. And did I say medical? And yeah, medical. That's the most important part. I really need all of you to be working on your medical task. But yeah, you'll get more information as we get closer to departure. And Emily, you said no, I mean in Malawi before we get placed with our host families. Can you elaborate a little bit on that? I'm not quite sure what you mean. Um, Erica, you said she was asking, so what are some of the challenges we can expect for just taking care of our own needs, but also integration into the community? What are some good ways to establish ourselves in our communities as female volunteers? That's a really good question, Erica. So, so when you're in regards to just taking care of your own needs, I think we all definitely have different coping mechanisms. And I can speak for my own. When I got to site, being by yourself was a challenge. Being by myself was a challenge. That was the first time really kind of being in a house by myself. And so it definitely hit me really hard the first couple of nights where I was just like, my goodness, I'm in this house by myself. And so I just had to figure out like different things to kind of keep me busy and engaged in my community. And so definitely taking part in community activities. So, for instance, I was on a priest compound because I was my school was associated with the Catholic Church, and so I lived on a compound with two other priests, but I had my own house. And so every Wednesday night they had asked that I come over for dinner. So that was just a way that I would, be able, one, get out of the house, two, just, have someone else around, and, we would have really good conversations over dinner. But that would be, in terms of just taking care of your own needs. If you feel like you need to be around people, again, it goes into just integrating and really kind of putting yourself out there to kind of get to know people in your community. Um, and exercising, I know that's something that I did, and a lot of volunteers did. A lot of volunteers either bring like yoga mats, and they still continue doing, some, yoga practices after maybe a long day. But anything, I definitely will encourage you to bring anything that makes you happy here. So if you like to journal, definitely bring a journal on your trip. If you like to play the guitar, some volunteers have brought guitars, but I definitely do remember when I was in Malawi that I saw guitars around. So but you can ask current volunteers just to kind of check up on that. But just bring things that are gonna make you happy, that that makes you happy, because they're gonna be rough times. It's definitely a roller coaster, and so whatever you need to kind of make sure that you are doing. That you're okay. It's helpful. It's helpful. And then you said, but also integration in the community. What are some good ways to establish yourself in your community as a female volunteer? So, as a female volunteer, and especially I can speak for being a teacher as well, you are definitely seen as a role model in the community. And you're during PST, your program manager will walk you through what that looks like. So for me in Kenya, it looked like I would have to wear skirts that were below my knee, and I couldn't be seen drinking in my community. And so those are the things that I was taught during my during PST, which then when I went to site, I made sure that I wasn't drinking. I wasn't caught drinking because I was a teacher, and also women in my community did not do that. So during PST, they really are going to walk you through as to what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. And I think it's really keen that you listen to that and you really take that to heart, because that's going to make or break your ability to integrate into the community. For females, you just kind of want to. I definitely paired myself with a mama, and that's what we call them, like an older woman, maybe perhaps in your community that you just kind of you'll connect with, and she can really help guide you as to how to kind of again integrate with the community. It Some female volunteers find it difficult, given that like the first months people don't know who you are. You might get the same situation that you deal with here, maybe with like catcalling and all of that. But again, that's why integration is so key, because the more people who know who you are and why you're there, I most some volunteers find that you get less of that in their own particular community. I hope that answers your question, Erica. And we can definitely, talk more about this with current volunteers, and they can kind of put some more Malawi context to that. But I hope that answers your question. Sable, you're asking how many different types of site placements are there? So the site placements are all dependent on your sector. And so I don't know exactly so if you're an ag volunteer, you're going to go to an ag site. You're going to go to a community that was requesting for an agricultural volunteer. And in some cases, you might have a volunteer of a different sector that lives close to you. I had a ag, was she ag? No, she was the health. I had a health volunteer that lived about 15, 20 minutes away from me. So it was really cool because we got to partner and do some malaria projects together in the same community. But that's not the case for all sites. That it varies. But in terms of site placement, you're placed depending on what sector you're in. Uh, Brady, will we be learning Chichewa and PST, or will some of us be learning? Yes. So that's a good question, Brady. Some of you will be learning, all of you will be learning Chichewa. And then there are other dialects like Chiayo, and I'm probably like crucifying those names. But yes, you will also learn other languages based off of where you will be placed in the country. But everyone will learn Chichewa. And Malawi, especially in the bigger cities, most people do speak English, and so it is helpful in that sense in terms of it's easy to get around and you can still manage to get around. But again, in terms of integrating into the community and into the culture, it's really key that you do learn uh, the language. All right. Um, So for environment volunteers, what are some typical issues that would be addressed in the communities and what kind of projects should we expect to get into? Um, so environment volunteers, you are going to get involved in basically, hold, give me 1 second, I'm sorry. So you'll focus on tree planting, and forest management, gardening, constructing of cook stoves, and I actually can elaborate a little bit about that because firewood, charcoal, which is the burning of firewood, which they use to cook with, is illegal actually in Malawi, and so they really the government is trying to push for alternative cooking methods, and so Peace Corps definitely tries to promote using promoting other various ways to cook food. And so there's like a three stone method, and I don't know the technical name of that, but you'll learn things like that during your PST that you'll create awareness about. In addition to that, you'll be making compost and just basically any environmental education. But to go along to add to that, like we plan on setting up other calls with your program managers of each within each sector, and those are going to be really great opportunities for you to really kind of dig deeper into as to what your project's going to look like and what type of activities will you be involved in. Okay. Tori's asking regarding dress for PST. Tattoos covered. Have to. I would assume. What about PST and how strict is the dress in covering tattoos? So yes. So during PST, we do expect that you are dressed in business casual, and any visible tattoos, we do ask that you cover it up. So say for instance, you have a sleeve, we would ask that you cover the tattoo. Um, so yes, you do need to be in business casual, and that also goes to when you arrive in Malawi. And I'll go over this when when the time is correct, when once you get closer to departure. But also for your PST, you definitely want to have some business casual attire for those weeks. Nikki, you're asking, do we have any drug screening that we'll need to do before leaving from Malawi? No, there's no drug screening that you have to do. But keep in mind that even though you are legally cleared at the moment, we do get notified if something does come up on your background investigation after you've been legally cleared. It is a tentative one up until the time you arrive at staging and sign in as a trainee. So no, there's no drug screening, but yeah, there's no drug screening, and we hope in that you are not taking part. I know you're just asking in general, but just to put it out there that we've had various volunteers get into some trouble in regards to drug, and so we do definitely take that very seriously. And if you are caught with that, that is immediate administrative separation from the program. Emily, you're asking when you get to Malawi before we get placed at our host families, will there be Oh, where will you be staying before you get to your host families when you get to Malawi? And so you'll be staying at a hotel. Actually, I don't want to actually answer this question because I'm not 100% sure exactly where you stay before you get to your host families. Um, I remember for my service, we were staying at this like it wasn't a hotel, but it was more or less like I don't know what how do I even describe this place? It was like a training center and they had dorms. And so we stayed there for like a couple days, and then that's when we went to our host family sites. And so that may be the very same case for Malawi, but I'll have to definitely get back to you on that. Um, Tori, you're asking since you were alone, why did you choose to not have an animal? I heard that that was a thing that people do. So Tori, I did have a dog actually. After a couple months, I was like, I think I want a dog, and so I actually got one. There was a mama down the street from me, and I was actually just telling people in my community that I would like a dog. And so I got one. And yeah, it was actually the best decision I made. It was really helpful to have her. She ended up having actually three puppies. And so I had four dogs and a cat and a mice problem at a given time. It was pretty crazy, but it was fun. It was really helpful to have a dog, and it was a really interesting way to kind of even connect with my community because in Kenya, dogs are not kept as pets, and the kids would come and they would watch me wash my dog because I was trying to make sure that she didn't have fleas and all of that. But yeah, the kids would come and surround me, and they didn't understand what I was doing, but it was just an interesting thing to kind of like just connect with them, and they eventually just like would try and help me wash her after a couple months. So it was fun having her around. In Malawi, some volunteers have different views about having a dog just because the poverty is just so evident. But I know like some people do have dogs and just feed it what the local food is. I had a dog and she ate what I ate, so it was totally fine. But there's markets that you can go to and actually get dog excuse me, get dog excuse me. um what is an overview? Emily's asking, what is an overview of daily, weekly, and monthly duties? So Emily, that's going to vary from volunteer to volunteer, from sector to sector, really. So for an ag volunteer, it might be where you get up really super early in the morning and you're working with your local farmers on tree planting. Perhaps maybe for a teacher as well, you might be waking up really early to get to your first class. But your schedules may change depending on the season and in regards to in your monthly duties. So day in day out, it's all going to look different across each sector. And so for instance, for a health volunteer, you may not have something to do every single day, but you may be working towards up to like having a workshop on malaria or a workshop on HIV prevention, HIV and AIDS. And so, yeah, your days, all of your days are going to look totally different, but you will get a routine based off of who you're working with and what you have to do in that particular month or day, really. Michael, you're asking silly question, but if electricity is not a certainty, how should volunteers plan to wake up on time? Alarm clock. So I've heard many volunteers, and even as I was a volunteer, the rooster will wake you up at 5:30 in the morning. Um, but you definitely you definitely will have you can bring solar panels that will charge your phone, and like for instance, like a health volunteer, when they go to the health clinic, they have that's an opportunity for them to charge their phones and charge their laptops, and so you can still set an alarm. You can also get a battery operated alarm clock, which will help you get up in the morning. But for sure, if it's not the sun rising so early, and if or the chickens that you have around or in on your compound, don't worry, you'll wake up in time. um, Katie, when exactly does health coverage under the Peace Corps insurance program start? Good question. So, Katie, your Peace Corps health insurance will start the day you sign in as a training in Philadelphia. At that point, you are insured under Peace Corps, and so anything that happens, we will attend to all of your healthcare needs. Um, are needed prescriptions and procedures covered 100%, or should we expect some of the pocket fees? No. So, yeah, once you not swear in, I'm sorry, once you sign in as a trainee at staging, that is when we will take care 100% of all of your health care needs. Hannah, I'm wondering how to best approach being a vegetarian during homestay. I've heard different things, and I'm wondering how to navigate telling my host family that I do not eat meat without offending them. I was born and raised a vegetarian. So in Malawi, when I got there, that was kind of one of the first questions that I kind of had for the volunteers, and it's actually rather easy to be a vegetarian in Malawi because they eat nsima, which is it's maize, which is corn flour, and it's mixed with water, and so it becomes into this hard substance. And I can actually think I can show you a picture of it. Give me one second. Mm. All right, so yeah, in terms of eating and cooking in Malawi, the nsima, which is the white um, carbohydrate there on the side, is the main dish in Malawi. And then you have like your greens and you have your beans. So you see that there's no meat actually on this plate. Meat is a luxury. So you may not even run into the issue where you have to deny or basically refuse eating to eat meat. It may be a situation where like they may not be able to afford meat on a daily basis, and so you're gonna be basically eating a more or less a vegetarian diet. And so yeah, basically it's not difficult to be a vegetarian in Malawi at all. Excuse me. Emily and Aaron, did you bring your dog home with you? I did not. I really wish I did, but I did not bring my dog with me. I did have several friends that actually did fly back their dogs, and yeah, so they have their dog here with them, but I did not. But I did visit my dog when I was there a couple months ago, and she's doing really well, and she's healthy, and she's happy, so it's good. All right, one more question. So, Jane, you're asking what is the severity of the crime rate? I've read that theft is something volunteers face. Yeah, so the crime rate in Malawi is well, theft is everywhere. That's one thing I like to kind of say, that you have to be very conscious of where you are, where your belongings are. And during PST, they're going to walk you through preventative measures that you can take to ensure your safety. So, for instance, if you're traveling, you definitely want to kind of spread your money apart, not keep it all in one location, maybe in your purse. Make sure that some volunteers like to wear fanny packs, just so that things are, closer to their body. And so they're definitely going to give you mechanisms and things that you can do to ensure your safety as you're like traveling, or even in your own house. Having a lockbox is really helpful, and I know a lot of volunteers do that. But I think a lot of people like to think, okay, so I'm going to a different country. And they make it a little bit more complicated than it needs to be. The same things that you would do here to be safe, and to make sure and to ensure that things are not stolen from you, is the same things that you kind of want to bring when you go to Malawi. And so I definitely kind of want to make sure that you all are kind of thinking in that way. But definitely during PST, they're going to walk you through like different, and you guys are all going to come together as a group and talk about different ways you can stay safe, and prevent these things like theft and robbery to occur. But it does happen, and that's why you have to be vigilant, and make sure that you take all the precautionary measures to kind of mitigate that from happening. Um, so Jane, you're also asking, are we allowed to bring vitamins and supplements? Are those something we can buy in Malawi? So in terms of vitamins and things like that, that is not something that is standardly provided in the medical kit. But you can purchase some, but I don't know exactly what type of vitamin you may need, and so you may want to bring that with you. It may not be accessible, not accessible, but available in Malawi. But that's something that you can definitely ask a volunteer once we have like a conference call. So if there's a particular like vitamin that you need, you can definitely ask and see if that's available there. But I will have to say is that you definitely want to bring any prescription medication that you're taking for the first 3 months, and then after that, the medical team will make sure that you're supplied with whatever you're taking or whatever you're on. But that's something that the medical officers, you will have a conference call with them, and you'll be able to kind of go over that with them. Um, Lydia, you're asking, would you recommend any vitamins or supplements in order to stay healthy? So, in our medical kit, you do get, which is interesting, you get prenatal vitamins. And so that is one way to kind of ensure that we're getting like the full nutrients in our diet. Because, depending where you are, you may not be able to get like a full diet that will attend to all of the nutrients that we need for our bodies. And so they do provide prenatal vitamins in your medical kit that each of you will receive once you become a volunteer. I'm sorry, no, even before you become a volunteer. And that's actually when you get into pre-service training to PST. You will receive like a nice little box kit that has like band-aids and sunblock, and whatever you need is basically in that medical kit. And so if there's something additional that you need in terms of vitamins, then you might want to bring that with you. All right. So we do have 10 minutes left, and I want to try and get through some of these questions. But just keep in mind that this is the first of many calls that we're going to have. I know you'll have like up to, maybe, I think I want to say we'll definitely have at least three conference calls leading up to your departure in June. So I love the questions that you're asking me right now, and there'll be more opportunity to ask the Malawi team more questions, in fact, and volunteers as well. Give me Michael. Once you said once legal and medical clearance notifications are received, when should you be able to know that you're in? Yeah, so once you're legally and medically cleared, that is like a good sign that you've done everything that we need you to do and you're in. There's some other modules and other things that you may need to do, but those are two big tasks that you all need to complete. And if and I also like to say that no news is good news. So if you don't hear from me, that means you're basically doing everything that you need to do, and everything is fine. Now, if you haven't heard back from maybe the legal team, or if you haven't heard back from the medical team, please notify me, and then that way I can definitely follow up for you. But yeah, so just definitely work on your legal, work on your medical task, um, and get that in as soon as possible. All right. So I'm actually going to stop the questions there because I definitely have a couple things that I want to make sure that you all are working on right now. Give me 1 second. I just want to pull something up. All right. So, one thing I want to reiterate is that it's really, really important that you complete all of your medical tasks. I know some of you have not started anything, and some of you are almost like on close to being medically cleared. I have to say, and I can't stress this enough, please start your medical task. I hope you've already started, in fact. And if you're having difficulty getting things in, just submit one item, submit one task into your portal. Sorry about the vacuum, you all. Just submit something onto your portal so that the nurses know that you're working on it. Because, like, if you wait till the end, they just assume that you're not doing anything and that you're not interested in service any longer. So definitely just try and submit, just upload one or two tasks that you've at least completed, and then that way we can kind of keep you still in the pool, and then you can work on your task as you can. For legal, again, you may not hear back from them for about like 2 weeks. This is a very high season for them, and so once you submit your legal kit, kind of wait for 2 weeks. They will send you a confirmation email, and then after that, usually no news is good news. So if you don't hear back from them, that means your background investigation has started, and they only do follow up if we have like questions about like the results that we get back. Or if you have not checked the certification on your new volunteer portal. Okay. And then what else? Those are two, your passport and visa. So there's no visa for Malawi. So just really making sure that you get in your passport application to SATO as soon as possible. I know most of you've done it, but I just want to kind of stress it again. We really, really need all of that information really early on so that we can start processing you, and getting things that we need for your departure. Um, Yes. So I'm going to end there. I know I'm going to put Beth on this spot real quick. I know she's on the call. Beth, do you want to just say hi real quick? Beth, if you don't remember, is your the placement officer that interviewed you.
Hi, everyone. It's nice to see all of you. I was glad to see some of the names I recognized. I am glad to see that you came on the call and you're getting ready to depart for Malawi in June. I hope all of the pre-departure processes are going smoothly. We're all rooting for you here at Peace Corps headquarters in Washington, D.C., and best of luck as you get ready for departure in June. And hopefully you remember who I am.
All right, great. So I'm gonna post this into the Facebook group, and just if you have more questions, please feel free to email me at malawi@peacecorps.gov. I will continue to monitor the Facebook group and make sure I answer questions that are on there. But definitely the best way to get in contact with me is through malawi@peacecorps.gov. My phone number is 202 692 2260 if you need to call me. But can't stress, please, please, please get in all of your medical tests, get in your legal kit. and then we'll take it from there. We have conference calls lining up. The team in Malawi is so excited for you. They're like working like crazy right now and making sure everything's in place for you all. So you guys have really hit the lottery with Malawi. Like I have to say, I've visited a couple of countries and Malawi won my heart. So it's just a beautiful country, and I'm really excited for all of you. And so yeah, that's it for the conference call. If you have questions again, just let me know. All right. Well, take care. I hope everyone has a great evening. And all right. Talk to you guys soon. Bye.